Right, we'll try again. Good morning, everybody, and can I welcome everyone to this cabinet meeting being held on Friday, the 31st of January at 10:30 at Clacton Town Hall, and appreciate all your attendance. So, can I start with apologies for absence?
Thank you, Chairman. I can offer apologies for absence this morning from the Leader of the Council, Councillor Mark Stevenson, and the Chief Executive, Ian Davidson. They're both in Chelsea this morning attending a meeting of the Essex Leaders and Chief Executives. Thank you.
Thank you, and that explains why I'm sitting here today and not Councillor Mark Stevenson. Can I ask for, I moved the minutes of the last meeting, which are on pages 7 to 28. I move, can I have a seconder please? Seconded by Councillor Adrian Smith. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 3, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest, members? Councillor Chapman.
I need to declare an interest in item 11, which is conservation area for Brightlingsea, as I'm a town councillor and district councillor for them.
Councillor Honeywood.
I will have to do the same, as I'm the elected member for Pier Ward, which covers quite a large part of the seafront.
Thank you. And, yep, monitoring officer would like to respond.
I'd say that because the report's quite wide-ranging, it probably covers most of you in the room, so I wouldn't worry about declaring interest in relation to that item.
Councillor Jeff Bray.
Thanks, Chair. Different interest. I'll declare an interest item 13. I'm a tenant of the council and I don't feel it's appropriate for me to take part, so I'll leave for that one. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And I would like to put on record a declaration of interest for myself, and I'm going to read a statement out which has been prepared. I've sought the monitoring officer's advice in relation to the reference in the General Fund Budget Report at A1, in particular Appendix C, page 57 of the agenda, to the set aside of funding of to a PCSO in Harwich. This matter has been subject to previous decisions and has been in place for a number of years, but historically has been funded as a cost pressure in year. Page 57 is clear that to allocate the money, a separate report will be required, and it is at that point my interest as a town councillor would be relevant, and when any decision is being considered, I will withdraw myself from the meeting, as I've done so previously. Consequently, there is no need to make a declaration of interest, but I would like this recorded as a point of information for the minutes. Thank you. Next item, item 4, announcement by the Leader of the Council. There are none. Item 5, announcement by Cabinet members. Councillor Gina Placey.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Given the latest news from Essex Police about proposed cuts to police staff and PCSOs, I will write to the police office, the Police and Crime Commissioner in support of lobbying efforts to ensure adequate funding and resourcing of community safety in Tendring.
Thanks, Chair. I wonder if the portfolio could help us and clear something up, because we're hearing about the PCSOs going, but there seems some confusion as to whether it will affect those PCSOs that are currently funded by parish and town councils. Do you have any information on that that you could share? Thank you.
I'm afraid at the moment I don't have any information on that. That's one of the things we'll be looking into. Sorry.
And I think we'll refer to that. Obviously, there's items in the budget that refers to that, and I've declared my interest. But the money within the budget at the moment for the various support for PCSOs is there in the it's in the budget. Now, if things change, then that money obviously would not go forward. So it's just to make that point that the provision's in the budget, but it's not been spent and it's not been awarded at this time.
Sorry, Chair, just to clarify, it's just that the report that came out really didn't distinguish between PCSOs that are funded by the police service and PCSOs that are funded by town council. So obviously people are asking, does it affect one or the other? So that's really the question. Clearly we don't have that answer yet, so thank you.
I'm sure those town and parish councils who are involved will be asking those questions for themselves. And it's matters referred to the Cabinet by a committee, reference from the Resources and Services Overview and Scrutiny Committee, A1, scrutiny of the initial budget proposals for 25-26, pages 29 to 30, and I'll draw members' attention to the response from the portfolio holder for finance, which is in front of you today. As you will see, there's a request for your endorsement on that, but before we get to that, I'd just like to highlight some parts of that response which is in front of you, and sections of and paragraphs of that which I think are worth putting on record for people to hear. The various financial performance reports considered by the Cabinet during the year that the committee were invited to comment on, along with the detailed report considered by Cabinet in December, that the committee had in front of them at the meeting on the 13th of January 2025, set out a significant level of detail covering the long-term forecast risk assessments, including the adequacy of reserves, savings plans and cost pressures. And the response in front of you also goes on to highlight, for completeness, Cabinet's initial highlight priorities are included, and I'll just give you the headlines of them again so it's on record. Deliver savings plan for 2025-26, develop savings plan for 26-27, to develop proposals to secure the long-term sustainability of housing revenue, the housing revenue account, develop a high-level transformation strategy and a targeted plan for 2025. And I referred again to the last page of that document where it says further updates will therefore be provided to the committee during 25-26 alongside the development of the associated plans, and the Cabinet will continue to invite comments from the committee as part of the associated and regular reports that will be presented throughout 2025-26. In addition to the above, it is also worth highlighting that the Cabinet's approach set out above is not dissimilar to arrangements put in place by the previous administrations, where full detailed plans to deliver financial sustainability over multi-year periods were not produced. I think it's worth just highlighting those within that document, and I'll come back to members in a minute for your endorsement of that response. Any comments? Right, so then I'll go to Cabinet members for your endorsement. You'll see their amended recommendation to Cabinet that the recommendations made by the Resources and Services Overview and Scrutiny Committee be noted, and that the written response of the portfolio holder for corporate finance and governance thereto be endorsed. Thank you. So I've moved and seconded by Councillor Andy Baker. All those in favour? Thank you very much, members. Item 6, matters referred to the Cabinet by a committee, reference from the Community Leadership Overview and Scrutiny Committee, A2, grant funding by the Council and others, and its appropriateness given the needs of the district, and that's from pages 31 to 34. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Gina Placey.
Yeah, my comments are as on page 32. I thank the committee for their recommendations, and these will be considered as the forthcoming grant policy is developed. I note the comments in respect of a voluntary sector funding day, and consideration will be given to supporting or running such an event to assist the voluntary sector. I move the recommendations as quoted to the Cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you. Have I got a seconder?
Yes, Chair. Thank you, Chair. And in seconding this item, I'm happy to note the recommendations made by the Community Leadership Overview and Scrutiny Committee, which will be considered for inclusion in the forthcoming grant policy as it's developed. And with that, Chair, I second.
Thank you. Any questions? There are no questions. All those in favour? Thank you, members. Item 9, Leader of the Council's items. There are none. Item 10, Cabinet Members' items, report of the Corporate Finance and Governance Portfolio Holder, A3, Updated General Fund Financial Forecast Stroke Budget 2025 to 2026, page 35 to 58. Go on.
Councillor Henderson, the reference to A1 in your declaration of interest was my error, so it should have been A3. So for the record, can we just correct it to A3? Thanks.
Thank you, Monitor and Officer. All right. So I'll move this report, and I'll move it on the basis of this statement. Just before Christmas, we received a provisional local government finance settlement, which we briefly discussed at our Cabinet meeting on the 20th of December. The forecast has been updated to reflect these settlement figures, along with a limited number of other changes, which are set out in the report we have in front of us today. The biggest change we have seen since we considered the earlier forecast back in December relates to business rate income receivable via the collection fund estimates, with details set out within the report. Although we await the announcement of the final settlement figures shortly, additional income is expected, with details set out within Appendix B. Although we await the announcement of the final settlements, Appendix B also includes additional income we expect to receive under the terms of the existing council tax sharing agreement with the major preceptors. These changes are positive in terms of the budget for 2025-26 and protect the forecast risk fund position that in turn supports the council from 2026-2027 onwards. However, it is likely that there may be one-off in nature which we will need to consider as part of the developing the forecast during the year. As set out within the report, there is quite a bit ongoing on in the future years, such as the government's review of local authorities' needs and resources, a business rate reset and reforms to the new homes bonus, to name just a few. Add this to the potential impact of the devolution and local government reorganisation, forecasting over the medium term to long term is becoming increasingly difficult. However, we continue to have the right frameworks and processes in place to support our financial planning activities, and we will continue to provide updates throughout 2025 and 26. I thank the Resources and Services Overview and Scrutiny Committee for the important role they play in our financial planning activities, and I note the item earlier on the agenda relating to the review of both the General Fund and the HRA budget proposals and their associated comments. In terms of the full council meeting on February, we will be recommending a Band D council tax amount of £199.52 in 2025-26, an increase of 2.99%. It is always worth highlighting that the element of the overall council tax bill is only around 10%, and it's just over 50p a day. I think this continues to represent excellent value for the money, especially when you think about all the things the council does and the services it provides to the residents. As set out in the report, there are a few budget adjustments that remain outstanding, which will be finalised in readiness for the report to full council on the 11th of February. The report to full council in February will therefore reflect the Cabinet's final budget recommendations for 2025-26, along with the various technical appendices to support the associated discussions and required resolutions on that night. So I move the report. Can I have a seconder?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And can I just again thank the officers for their comprehensive report. I'm happy to second the recommendations set out within the report. And I'd just like to comment and say it's good to hear the positive news about the 25-26 budget position, which in turn protects the forecast risk fund. This provides increased financial flexibility for us when looking ahead to 2026, 27 and beyond. And this is especially important given the level of financial uncertainty relating to the various changes proposed by the government from 2026-27 onwards. However, it is hoped that via the government's fair funding review and business rates reset, councils will be given more financial clarity over multi-year periods to help financial planning. And I think the future is indicating that things are likely to get even more complicated when you add in local government devolution and reorganisation. So certainly have our work cut out. So we therefore need to remain prepared and flexible, and it was good to see our former external auditor's recent value for money commentary about the council. They set out a very positive view on our various financial plans and arrangements, which we'll need to continue to rely on to support the ongoing development of our forecast and savings plans over the year ahead. So I'm happy to second this move.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. Any comments? There are no comments, so I'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you, members. I lost my place now. 11, sorry. Item 11, Cabinet Members' items, report of the Housing and Planning Portfolio Holder, A4, adoption of 6 conservation area appraisals and management plans, pages 59 to 442. And I call on Councillor Andy Baker to move.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm delighted to introduce this report requesting that Cabinet adopt a further 6 conservation area appraisals for the 6 areas of Clacton Seafront, Brightlingsea Hall and All Saints Church, Great Clacton, Lawford, Kirby Le Sopen and Great Oakley. The appraisals themselves are shown from page 73 to 442 of the agenda. Quite a long read, but very interesting nevertheless. One of the aims of the Council's Heritage Strategy, adopted in April 2020, was to update the Council's area appraisals, and much work has been done since then to bring these updated appraisals forward. As you will recall, Cabinet adopted the first 7 appraisals in summer last year. Therefore, these further 6 will take the total adopted to 13. The final areas have either been consulted on or are currently out for consultation, and I hope to bring further reports to Cabinet hopefully by the summer. As you can see, yet again, Chairman, a lot of work has gone into producing these appraisals, and I would like to thank all those who have taken that work, as well as those who responded to the consultations. Having these appraisals in place will help in the preparation of our new revised local plan and also assist in attracting external funding for heritage-related activity in the district. I do not intend to say anything further, as it is all outlined in the report. And Chairman, the recommendations are on pages 59 to 60, and I commend them to Cabinet.
With a seconder, Councillor Gary Scott.
Thank you, Chairman. I will very much welcome the adoption of these conservation area appraisals and the positive progress as we're making, consulting the public and bringing forward the remaining handful. So we have a comprehensive coverage over district's 20 conservation areas later this year. This work demonstrates how serious this council is about our valuable historic environment and preserving and enhancing our built heritage. I'm also keen that we protect our valuable designated and non-designated heritage assets elsewhere in our district beyond our designated conservation areas. So I'm encouraged by our progress in compiling a local list of non-designated heritage assets, which can include buildings, monuments and other structures, and input that town and parish councils and members of the public can have to that process. I would welcome an update on that work from our officers for the future cabinet meetings, but for now, I'm very pleased to second the adoption of the 6 conservation area appraisals before us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. And Councillor Bray.
Thanks, Chair. Just to say thank you to the Cabinet for keeping this going on. I oversaw a number of these during my time as portfolio holder, and it's a wonderful thing to do. It's really good we're looking after our conservation areas. Well, one of the comments I received during that time was the quality of the reports and how good they are. Some of the photographs in here are absolutely amazing. So it's good that that's been kept up, and yeah, well done. Let's keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bray. Councillor Honeywood.
Thank you, Chairman. Because we're looking at this item, I'd like to draw attention to page 115. Give you a few seconds there. And in particular, it's reference to or item 4.3, which refers to the vacant property Rosemary Road. This property has caused issues for local residents for a number of years now, and indeed is currently being dealt with by the Enforcement Department due to currently a potential sewage leak. There's also issues around possible planning breach. What I'm asking for is, because I believe it's now under some kind of appeal, it is causing great concern to residents, and I receive emails, if not daily, then weekly, about this. Could I have an update on where we are with this property and what's happening? I know it's in a conservation area, and when I saw it, I thought it appears the Cabinet are in agreement that something needs to be done, and residents would agree 100% that something needs to be done. So could I ask for an update on that? Obviously not now, but in the near future. Thank you very much.
Chairman,
I'm getting the nod. I'll let Councillor Baker come. I'm getting a nod from our Director of Planning and Communities, Officer Gary Guyver, who's agreeing to provide you with the update and information you requested. Councillor Andy Baker.
I was just going to confirm that I'll consult with officers and then give you a written response, and hopefully it will answer those questions for you.
Right. Thank you for raising that. It's important that we raise the concerns of our residents all the time, and that's what we're here for. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. I move now to all those in favour of the we've got a mover and a seconder. All those in favour of the report? Thank you, members. Bear with me. Item 12, Cabinet Members' items, report of the partnership and portfolio holder A5 Communities Project update, which can be found on pages 443 and 486. And I have a mover, Councillor Gina Placey.
Thank you. This report highlights the gap analysis that has been undertaken to help determine some of the needs of the community and how the council can respond. It is clear that there are challenges in some parts of the community in relation to access to income, in terms of employment, benefits and debt management. The provision of information and advice is a cost-effective way of helping to support people in relation to these issues. Providers of services in the community highlight the increasing demand for support, the increasing complexity of those in need, and how more people now present in crisis. There is already a wide range of online services, and providers are reporting the importance of face-to-face provision, as many residents will not use online services. It is therefore proposed that a procurement is undertaken to provide this type of support, which will also ensure best value and best use of taxpayers' money. To maximise the effective use of resources, it is proposed that a modular approach is undertaken so as to understand the complementary services that could be delivered at different price points, and thus enable the Council to determine the best value proposition from the market. The Council has historically provided grant funding to citizens' advice tendering for provision of an information and advice service for local residents on an annual basis. It is proposed that this funding arrangement continues up to the 30th of September this year, which will allow time for this procurement to be completed and any new service to mobilise. This report also proposes that the procurement for this service is for a 3-year period. I am happy to remove the recommendations as on page 445, 446. Thank you.
And have I a seconder?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Peter Cox.
Thank you, Chairman. And I second this report, which seeks to address some of the significant needs of our community, our communities are facing, by seeking to provide a nice advice and support service to help residents in relation to their income. There's already a range of provision in an area from the Council's benefits and housing schemes, and also from partners such as the Department of Health and Work and Pensions, Peabody, and an existing service provided by Citizens Advice Tendering. Some of these services are face-to-face and others are online or accessed by phone. There is a clear need for advice and support around how residents can improve and maintain their income, and I welcome the approach which identifies the importance of face-to-face provision to support those residents which may be furthest from the support that they need. The procurement allows the effective use of taxpayers' money, and the allocation to Citizens Advice Tendering in the interim, whilst the procurement is occurring, ensures residents will have continuous access to provision, and I'm happy to support those recommendations as set out in the report.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Jeff Bray.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I'm really pleased that we've done this and moved it on another 6 months with this grant. I'm a little bit concerned about time. So can you give me some assurance that that will be sufficient time? We provided them sufficient funding for a further 6 months. Are we sure that our procurement process will be completed in time for that and that there won't be a gap at that point? That's first thing. Thank you.
On page 449, there's information there. We have actually been in consultation with the procurement service, and we will go out to market engagement, and we have consulted, and we're confident that that will be enough time.
And that will go live in October.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
That's all.
Thank you for that part. The other thing that during the process does concern me a little bit, CAT have been around a long time. They have a badge that's recognisable. So are we taking into account the costs that will be required in order to advertise a new service if it replaces CAT? Because that obviously will affect the cost of running a business and may affect the amount of money that we need to put into it. So basically, everybody knows what CAT is at the moment. They know exactly where to go, they know what they do, and let's be honest, they do a lot of things. So if we are bringing in some new service, can we be sure that there will be knowledge within the public that that new service exists and provides the same service as an advertising cost there? Thank you.
I might have to refer to officers here, but as I understand it, we're going out to procurement, so if there is a new service, that would be part of what any new service would be factoring in. And obviously, as a council, we would do our best to promote whoever is successful. Yeah, but if somebody wants to add a bit more to that.
I don't know if any officers want to. I'd just say it obviously happens with every tender and contract that comes ahead. This council has a responsibility and a duty to get best value, and that's what we're doing in this case. I think it's only right and proper that we do that. But we've said we want to operate as an open and transparent council, and I think we're doing just that to make sure that we're getting best value for our taxpayers on the services that are provided to our residents. So I think this is one good way forward to make sure that this tender is going to be open to everyone at the end of the day, with that information provided for them to actually bid for that tender. So with that, any further questions? Are we agreed? Agreed. Thank you, members. I now refer to item 13, Cabinet Members' items, joint report of the Housing and Planning Portfolio Holder and the Corporate Finance and Governance Portfolio Holder, A6, updated Housing Revenue Account Business Plan and Budget Proposals 2025-26 on pages 487 to 508. And I will move with this statement. There has only been one relatively minor change to the budget since our meeting in December, which is set out in the report. The proposed rent increase remains the same at 2.7%, which results in the average weekly rent of £103.49p in 2025-26. Similarly to the general fund position, there are a few budget adjustments that remain outstanding that will be finalised in readiness for the reporting to the full council on the 11th of February. Along with the updated business plan figures, the report also sets out the proposed detailed HRA budget for 25-26, fees and charges, capital programme and reserves. The commitment to invest in the housing stock remains with 9.453 million, including within the proposed budget for 25-26 to meet the costs of major refurbishment and repairs to our tenants' homes. As set out in the report, there is always a balance to strike between investing in our tenants' homes whilst recognising the need to use reserves in the short term. Work will therefore remain ongoing during 25-26 to develop proposals to continue to secure the long-term sustainability of the housing revenue account. I understand that the tenants panel is meeting soon, and I look forward to their comments, which we will make available to members ahead of the full council meeting on the 11th of February as necessary. I move. Can I have a seconder?
Quite happy to second, Chair.
Thank you. Any questions? In that case, I'll move to vote. All those in favour? Thank you, members. Item 14, management team items. There are none. Before I close the meeting, can I put on record, we have the budget in front of us, and we do realise, all members, I'm sure, councillors, members, realise the amount of work that goes into this from our finance team and the financial management of our finances in this council. We should be very proud of that. If you look at this report, it's something to be really proud of. So I'd like the Director of Finance to take back to the team our many thanks for all the hard work they do throughout the year and making sure this council is kept on a sustainable and financial good footing. So thank you very much for that. And again, to all officers who have had input into this agenda, because these reports don't come easy. There's a lot of work go into them, and we appreciate all that hard work. And finally, can I thank all my Cabinet members for their patience today, being my first chairmanship of this Cabinet. I appreciate your support and your help throughout this, and also thank the councillors, opposition councillors, Councillor Jane Chapman, Councillor Paul Honeywood and Councillor Jeff Bay for attending on behalf of their groups. Thank you very much, and I therefore say the next Date of the next meeting is Friday the 21st of February 2025, and I hereby close this meeting.